And honestly, I thought we played really good in the fourth, and my turnover in transition is what I felt like really kind of ended the momentum for us.
The Indiana Fever faced the Minnesota Lynx on September 6th in what was expected to be a highly intense game of WNBA basketball. Indiana came in strong, riding the momentum from their recent success since the All-Star break, while Minnesota aimed to stop their winning streak. With Caitlin Clark on the verge of setting yet another record, there was a buzz of excitement surrounding this matchup. Clark had been lighting up the court all season, quickly approaching the mark for the fastest rookie to 100 career threes.
Clark with 9 points, 7 assists here so far. Clark crossing over and dropping a three.
The Lynx, always a formidable opponent, were determined to slow her down. As the game began, both teams were clearly ready to give it their all, with no easy baskets in sight. The stakes were high, and it showed in every possession. Fans braced for a battle, eager to see if the Fever could continue their dominant form or if the Lynx would finally hand them a setback. Let's go over the best plays of the game and see how everything unfolded. The Indiana Fever came out strong, with Lexi Hull grabbing possession and immediately driving down the court. She sliced through the Lynx defense with a burst of speed, finishing with a slick two-pointer to set the tone.
In the Eastern Conference out of the Olympic break. Here's Hull on the drive, floats it up and floats it in.
And she's really come alive since that break. I think one thing about Lexi Hull is she has a way of playing to her strengths. She did a lot on the defensive end, but
the Fever weren't about to let up either. Shortly after, Aaliyah Boston found herself under the hoop, thanks to a sharp pass, and nailed an easy bucket, extending the lead early.
of her own medicine.
Here's Kelsey Mitchell, who's been red hot, misses her first shot here tonight. She'll set a franchise record with 7 straight 20-point games. That came to an end.
But the Minnesota Lynx quickly fought back. Nafisa Collier got her team on the board, sinking both free throws with impressive accuracy, keeping the game close.
She's alive, not only with her shot, but just kind of doing all the little things right. She's becoming an excellent passer as well.
Nafisa Collier, fourth in the MVP voting.
Despite the early jabs, Indiana kept pressing. Alana Smith drained a big three-pointer, which widened the Fever's lead, but Boston responded again, grabbing key rebounds and keeping the Fever's momentum alive.
Her last 4 games. Smith catch and shoot and knocks down a three.
Beautiful ball movement there, kind of probing the defense by Williams to really free up. And you have to be able to put a hand up on all 5 of these Lynx players, because all of them have the ability to shoot the ball and fall up.
Lynx defend the perimeter. Any team in the WNBA. This is Mitchell inside of it. That shot rims out. Lexi Hull with an offensive rebound. Mitchell and Clark have opened up 0 for 5 tonight, so Mitchell puts it on the deck. Kick out to Alyssa Smith.
The back-and-forth action continued as Kelsey Mitchell, one of the Fever's top players, knocked down a deep three, showing the Lynx that Indiana wasn't slowing down. But Minnesota wasn't going away easily. Collier fired back with a smooth jumper, keeping the Lynx in the hunt.
Not like she's going to put that thing up, and being able to shoot it with confidence is the key. She already knows she's got it.
Fever shooters in the Minnesota perimeter defense.
Caitlin Clark, who had been setting up her teammates, then delivered a jaw-dropping assist to Boston for another crucial two-pointer.
Williams weaves her way inside, but Collier more than capable. Defending bigger than her size. And once again, it's Clark ahead to Boston, who's got an early 8.
And you said it best, playing that small ball does have an advantage.
The Fever were gaining ground, but Minnesota kept responding. Kayla McBride stepped up for the Lynx, hitting a timely three-pointer that ignited the crowd and brought the game back within reach.
McBride is open, and this is on a 3. There to clean up is Nafisa Collier.
And she does that so well. She doesn't give up on the play. She just has.
Just when it seemed like the Fever were in control, Collier came through again for Minnesota, grabbing a rebound and knocking down another shot, closing the gap even more.
McBride, one of the top 3-point shooters in the WNBA, answers with a 3. Pace is going to be something to watch here tonight in Minnesota.
Clark responded with a challenging two-pointer but missed her next attempt. However, she made up for it by sinking both free throws, pushing the Fever's lead back up.
Clark working on Natisha Heidemann, who's just checked in. She's a good defender too. And Clark, that was not easy, but got it to go.
Yeah, looked a little shaky there, but being able to go and stay with it. The defense knocks it around a little bit. Stay poised, stay.
As the quarter winded down, Clark nailed a spectacular three-pointer, keeping the Fever ahead.
Clark looking aggressive. Clark launches and hits a 3.
I mean, it's just like clockwork, at this point. I mean, it is a completely difficult shot. She just gets it and she's able to drill. That's how you get it back. You have to be able to come back on defense ready to go, and nothing easy.
Clark pushing the pace.
Minnesota fought back with a quick counterattack, but by the end of the first quarter, the Indiana Fever held a solid lead 27-19.
On it, and that'll take us through the first quarter. Indiana led by as many as 11. Caitlin Clark had 7. First quarter as an offense continued.
Both teams were locked in, and the excitement was just getting started. The second quarter started with the Lynx eager to claw their way back into the game. Nafisa Collier wasted no time, driving hard to the basket for a forceful two-pointer, showing that Minnesota wasn't ready to back down.
On it, and that'll take us through the first quarter. Indiana led by as many as 11. Caitlin Clark had 7. First quarter as an offense continued.
The Lynx followed this up with a sharp three-pointer from Cecilia Zandalasini, cutting the Fever's lead and putting the pressure back on Indiana.
Zandalasini, 2 for 2 from out there.
It's so important when you have those breaks, whether that's timeout, in between quarters.
But Caitlin Clark responded quickly. After a smooth sequence of passes, she found herself with an open look and sank a three-pointer of her own, keeping the Fever in control.
Have to come out with the exact same energy, and especially that's one way to do it. Caitlin Clark with another deep three. If you ever get tired of things.
The back-and-forth nature of the game kept the fans on edge as Minnesota pushed again with a tough two-pointer from Natisha Heatman, briefly closing the gap. However, Clark, always quick to answer, sliced through the defense for a spectacular layup, keeping the momentum firmly in Indiana's hands.
Threes here.
Difficult for not just Clark, but all Fever players to score.
Heidemann attacking Clark and rolls it in. Shooter's touch. Natisha Heidemann, pro out of Marquette. Second rounder who's really found a spot in the WNBA.
The Fever started to assert their dominance midway through the quarter, with Dorka Juhas adding a dazzling two-pointer and earning an and one in the process, further showcasing her ability to perform under pressure.
You gotta be able to come back right back on that defense and have that same energy.
Hines Allen for the Lynx tried to respond with her first points of the night, but Indiana remained cool and collected. Erica Wheeler followed up with a quick two-pointer of her own, widening the gap again for the Fever.
So far, Wheeler just blows by Collier and lays it in.
Love when Wheeler gets in and approach the defense. You never really know what she's going to do, and just being able to come in from the bench and automatically be a scoring threat is exactly what she needs to be.
Collier extra pass.
Wheeler, showing her leadership on the court, then faked out her defender and drained a beautiful three-pointer, adding another dagger to Minnesota's efforts.
Wheeler playing catch. Wheeler had an open three. Now she'll take it and knock it down.
Oh, she's just having fun. That's what that was. She was just having fun. This is the kid score. Hey, I'm wide open.
As soon as Clark returned from the bench, she made her presence felt again with a smooth floater, keeping Indiana's offense ticking.
Tackle early. Clark the hesitation. Clark the floater.
And it is. They're seeing it more and more of that. I mean, I don't know if she...
Alana Smith continued to show her value, securing multiple key rebounds and adding another two-pointer, solidifying Indiana's growing lead.
Behind the back, bounce pass. Mitchell into traffic. Shot too strong. Smith can't clean up. Offensive rebound and rolls that one in.
It is so loud.
Clark, in her usual fashion, delivered a flawless assist to Boston, who finished the play with a swift two-pointer.
Clark on the shot fake into a double team. Lofts it up for Boston.
Just another connection there. Looked like she was...
The Lynx tried to stay within striking distance with a quick response from Collier, but Boston wasn't done yet. She faked a spin move, scored another smooth two-pointer, and put the Fever up by 8.
Shot clock down to 5. Boston trying to create with the shot clock low, and Boston will.
If you don't send multiple bodies at Boston, it's almost like she sees that.
As the quarter came to a close, Bridget Carlton managed to sink a clutch three-pointer for the Lynx, cutting Indiana's lead to 5 at halftime, but the Fever still looked in control 50-45.
Pass was deflected into the hands of Hines Allen. Wrap around pass to Carlton. Oh, that was pretty.
That was beautiful. That was an extremely difficult pass there.
Minnesota came out strong in the third, determined to shift the momentum.
Dining here in the second half of the season. Alana Smith lines up and knocks down a three, and Minnesota bridging the second and third quarters with an 8.
Courtney Williams set the tone early, threading a perfect pass to Smith, who finished with a smooth two-pointer.
some of that momentum they went into halftime with. Smith launches. 3-ball off the mark. It's been another really good year here for Atlanta. Smith broke out last season in Chicago.
Just moments later, Williams added to the scoreboard herself, sinking a jumper that started to close the gap between the two teams.
But inside, Smith couldn't handle it. Right into the hands of Williams. And Minnesota in front for the first time since the midway points. Up, it's the WNBA on Ion.
Not to be outdone, Indiana's Kelsey Mitchell responded with a crucial three-pointer, reminding everyone that the Fever weren't going to let their lead slip away easily.
So just coming up and having that call.
Mitchell trying to get Indiana going, and she will with a 3-ball. Kelsey Mitchell, her second 3 here of the evening. She's got 13.
But Minnesota stayed relentless, with Nafisa Collier knocking down a deep 3 of her own, keeping the pressure on.
Possession. Collier straight away, knocks down a 3.
Yeah, and that's why, right here. It was a bit of a heat check, which if it goes...
Aaliyah Boston fought hard for Indiana, muscling through the defense for another 2 points, but Minnesota's intensity was undeniable. Their passes were sharp, and their movement crisp, making life difficult for the Fever on both ends of the floor.
Really big 3 of the second half.
Boston on the drive, gets inside and banks it home. So Aaliyah Boston, her first score here in the second half. She's got 14.
Collier, seemingly everywhere, forced Boston into a tough position before scoring again, stretching the Lynx's lead.
4 points. Indiana led for most of the first half, and the Fever give it away way too easily there. Here's Collier going coast to coast and banking it home.
Clark stepped up when her team needed her most, draining a critical three-pointer to cut into Minnesota's growing lead.
The lead all season long. Fever had their way with it in the first quarter. Clark trying to get Indiana started, and maybe that'll help.
Big time, big shot by big time.
But Williams quickly responded with a dagger of her own, maintaining Minnesota's momentum. The Lynx were in full control at this point, with Collier blocking Clark and sprinting down the court, setting up Williams for another score.
But lining up is something we've seen.
Williams steps into a 3 and knocks it down. It has been...
Indiana tried to rally, with Kelsey Mitchell sinking 2 important free throws, but the Fever were struggling to keep up with the relentless pace of the Lynx. At every opportunity, Minnesota attacked with ferocity, leaving Indiana searching for answers.
Mitchell with 14 points here on the night, but they have been harder, taking 13 shots to get there.
As the quarter drew to a close, the Fever found themselves down by 8 points. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't break through Minnesota's defense. Clark and Mitchell tried to fight, but Minnesota had full control, forcing the Fever to regroup before the final stretch. Minnesota ended up outscoring Indiana 17 points in the third, building up a 12-point lead.
Collier,
Yeah, and she plays the game right. If you really watch and break down her game, she has a way of carrying.
The final quarter began with a burst of energy as Kelsey Mitchell gave the Fever a quick boost, nailing a crucial 2-pointer to ignite hope for a comeback.
Mitchell on the drive, the floater, and she gets it to go. Indiana is hoping to hit the reset button here on the second half.
But the Lynx weren't about to let their lead slip away easily. Nafisa Collier answered immediately, maintaining Minnesota's firm control with a solid jumper.
About that during this timeout from at halftime. See where you can feed the post.
Clark trying to create, find some space, shot too strong.
Lexi Hall tried to keep the momentum on Indiana's side, draining a 3-pointer that cut the lead down, but the Lynx responded again. Kelsey Mitchell stepped up once more, hitting another big 3-pointer that had the Fever within striking distance.
Break there. Clark, Mitchell, wide open.
Now another 3 more for Kelsey Mitchell. Great job, Kelsey.
The crowd could feel the intensity as Indiana clawed their way back into the game. Just when it seemed like the Fever might complete their comeback, Courtney Williams delivered a difficult shot under pressure, extending Minnesota's lead again.
There's Dorka, U-hops back for Williams, and Williams will miss from there.
Those are offensive possessions, multiple offensive possessions.
Clark fired back with a deep 3-pointer of her own, trimming the gap to just a few points.
2. Boston setting up Clark. ABC.
Beautiful basketball, Great execution.
The Fever, sensing an opportunity, pressed hard, with Clark threading a perfect pass to Aaliyah Boston for an easy layup.
Clark looking for space. Feeds it into Boston. Boston one bounce and lays it in.
That's Fever basketball right there. Nice time push.
But no matter how much Indiana pushed, the Lynx had answers. Williams, continuing her standout performance, sank another three, pushing the lead back to safety. Minnesota's relentless attack, led by Collier and Williams, proved too much for the Fever to overcome.
3-on-2. Williams pulls up, leaves it shorts. Williams launches and hits a three. Big shot, Courtney Williams.
As the game wound down, Clark and Mitchell tried to work their magic, but Minnesota's defense held strong.
Can't hit on that three. So with a little breathing room here. Back up four.
Despite a final push from Indiana, with Clark finding Smith for another late three-pointer, the Lynx's lead had grown too large to overcome. Bridget Carlton, on fire all night, drained another pair of threes, putting the game out of reach.
Smith bustling inside. Mitchell launches and hits a three.
An inside out is the best three. See Halbert loves that energy there and being able not only for the crowd but for his team.
Williams knocked away by Mitchell, who touched that last. He'll say that was all. Pass into the corner. Carlton launches and hits a triple. Big shot after big shot tonight.
In the closing moments, Lexi Hull hit a three-pointer, but it was too late for Indiana. Minnesota secured the win with a final surge, leaving the Fever frustrated as the clock ran out.
Bentley back for Hull, who answers with a three. Indiana just barely has a pulse of their own. 8-point game with under.
Despite Clark's 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, it wasn't enough to overcome the Lynx's well-rounded effort, with Collier leading the way for Minnesota's victory 99-88.
After their lead was trimmed all the way down to 1, it is the Lynx who earned their 25th win of the season. And in a matchup of the two hottest teams here out of the Olympic break, Fever.
In the end, Minnesota's relentless pace and clutch shooting proved too much for the Indiana Fever to handle. Despite Caitlin Clark's standout performance with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, the Fever just couldn't find the consistency they needed to close the gap. Nafisa Collier and Courtney Williams led the charge for the Lynx, with Collier's dominant 26-point, 10-rebound night being the key difference in the game. Indiana fought hard, especially in the fourth quarter when Kelsey Mitchell and Clark hit some key shots, but Minnesota's timely responses kept them in control. Bridget Carlton's back-to-back threes late in the game sealed the win for the Lynx. Despite Indiana's attempts to rally, this game was another example of Clark's impact, but it also showed the Fever's challenges when facing tough opponents like Minnesota. While Indiana has had a strong run since the All-Star break, this loss will remind them that they still have work to do as they aim to push for the playoffs. The Fever will need to regroup, refocus, and continue to rely on Clark's leadership as they face the final stretch of the season.